I think a misconception is that maybe it's a preference. That's my one that I'm most passionate about. It's not a preference, because if it consumed you, you wouldn't choose the alternative.
Like asking, had I locked the door? Are you sure it's locked? And then going to check it multiple times.
It's, like I said, it's such a taboo subject, and when you have intrusive thoughts, you're like, oh God, maybe that's just my weird brain.
Checking doors, switches, taps, hobs, having to scrub the same plate, wash their hands, touch the door handle until it feels just right. This is the life of the 750,000 people across the UK who suffer with OCD. To most people, obsessive compulsive disorder isn't a debilitating mental health condition, but simply something that makes you clean, tidy and organised. But for those who suffer with the condition, it's about trying to combat their own thoughts just to feel normal. My name's Henry Lockyer, and when I was 15, I found out I had OCD. In this documentary, I want to explore the misconceptions surrounding the disorder, as well as the realities of living with OCD and the control it can have on your life.
OCD is a rule book, and OCD makes that rule book, and the person living with the OCD is having to read the rule book, and the pages are different and the chapters are different, and the book sometimes gets really intense and you're addicted to it and you want to read on, and sometimes you're like, no, I need to put that book down for a bit. It's like no one quite knows what OCD is trying to say, but OCD is, it's something that we don't have an option. Like, it's not a story we want to read, but we've been given this book and we have to live by it. We're all trying to figure it out.
Izzy is a youth worker who lives with the disorder.
I was diagnosed with OCD not until I was about 8, but it started presenting at age 6. Since then, I've noticed, traits of OCD in my life, and they affect my everyday. And I'm still living with that. I've been through counselling and some different types of therapy for it, but I still have traits of OCD that are a part of my everyday.
OCD can be helped through therapy and drug treatment, with both being around 70% effective. Therapy is about trying to break down the repetitive cycle that reinforces the compulsions. Ultimately, it's about supporting the person suffering with OCD so they can challenge the negative thoughts. One of the largest issues that those with OCD face is the lack of understanding about the condition. This often leads to people misunderstanding what it really is and making comments which can be very invalidating.
Professional settings, I've even been in like mental health professional settings where people have then just made a flyaway comment about, oh yeah, my OCD wouldn't like that, or I'm a bit OCD about that. And the thing that I was always reflecting on, you can't just have a little bit of something that, you can't just dip in and out of it, or it can't just apply to one little thing in your life. OCD, it consumes you. Whether that's like whatever scale that's on, there's so much control that I don't think you can have a little bit of it.
And that's where the issues rise. For those suffering with the condition, people's lack of awareness can stop them from speaking out, making them feel more isolated. And that's not just in terms of checking. Often, the intrusive thoughts people struggle with are extreme, and not speaking out can be detrimental.
A lot of people say to me, how can you have OCD if your bedroom's a mess? Or how can you not care about that food that's slightly out of date if you've got OCD? All of these little comments that people make, I just wish people understood the impact of those, because all of them make us, well, from my experience, have made me more scared to talk out, or have made me have some shame around my OCD. So these comments that we probably nowadays are less likely to make about something like schizophrenia or depression, we should become much less likely to talk about OCD in that flippant way. I just feel like it's so invalidated by the way that people speak about it, unintentionally, but I think it's because people aren't educated. As soon as I've ever brought anyone up, they're like, okay, I get that. But it's like, I do it in an educational way because I think it's so important, because people don't know.
She also spoke to me about how OCD affected her wider life.
People don't appreciate or put value on the impact that it has on loved ones or family members. So yes, you've got the person who has the diagnosis or is experiencing traits of OCD, but the impact on families is huge, because they are also victim to OCD in a way. So they have to change their life, they have to accommodate for that loved one. And there's no logic with OCD. There is no logic. It can be anything that your brain is telling you makes sense. So for the loved ones to adapt to that, it's just so difficult, because it's like they don't understand the rule book. The person with OCD probably doesn't understand the rule book very well. So yeah, I don't think that people give enough credit or support to people who are around the person with the diagnosis.
What Izzy said really spoke to me. Since being on my journey with OCD, my family have been my biggest supporters, always trying to help in any way they could. I wanted to hear about the experience of having a family member with OCD. So I spoke to Gemma, whose son suffers with the condition.
It can be difficult because you feel like you can't do anything to help, so you can't stop them checking the door 3 times. It's trying to help them find. So it can be quite frustrating and upsetting, that you can't help and you can't make things better, because as a parent you want to fix stuff, and when you can't, then that's really hard to do. But you just have to find the tools to help them help themselves, I think. But yeah, it's hard as a parent to watch a child do it when you can't fix it.
I also asked her if she had received any support herself.
No, actually, I think there's very little around actual support for the parent or the person that's supporting the person with the mental health condition.
As someone with OCD myself, furthering understanding about the condition can only be positive. When I was younger, I thought it was just the way I was, and there would never be an end to the controlling thoughts. I never thought I had OCD, because I wasn't particularly tidy or organised. But as I found out more about what the condition really is through therapy, I saw that there is help and a solution. The condition is surrounded by misconceptions and stigma, with many still thinking it's about ordering your pens by colour or having the cleanest kitchen. But with more people speaking out about the controlling effect that OCD has on them, more awareness around the condition can be raised, and those afraid will be able to speak out and find help. If you've been impacted by the content in this documentary, speak to your local GP or OCD UK, who can direct you to further support. Special thanks for this project go to Izzy Dunkmanton, Gemma Clark, Rachel Jameson Craig, Thomas Jameson Craig, Susie Hayward, and NHS Talking Therapies.